Okay, so do I minimize that screen then? Let's see. No. Oh, shoot. I really need to get like a, where the heck is my screen? There we go. I need to get a class on how to use my Apple computer.
Yeah, and I don't have an Apple computer, so I definitely can't help.
Ah, all right, I'm letting 3 people in. Let's go. Let's see here. Oops. See, and I always do that. Good afternoon, everyone. How do I go back here? Oh my gosh.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you, Numel?
I'm good.
Very good. Welcome, Javier, and
Yes. Hi, how are you?
very good. Welcome to the call. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that was him. Okay. We'll just give it a few. How's everything, Lumel?
That's good. How have you been? And you were away for the last week or so, right?
Yeah, I had a family funeral.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and it was right at 2:00, like right at my call, and
Oh,
so,
no.
yeah. So Bill filled in. I know he did a pretty good job.
Oh, yes. He always does. Yeah.
He does. Well, good. I'm glad. I'm glad it was beneficial to everyone. So that's
Yeah.
really that's cool.
Yeah, but we missed you.
Well, thank you. Thanks. Well, we'll get some stuff going today.
Okay, well, good.
Admit I have a guest speaker today, so it'll be fun.
Oh, good. All right. Looking forward to it.
All right, very good. Other than that, everything else good?
Yeah, pretty
All
much.
right.
No other outside meetings or anything you have scheduled, training things?
Wow. That's great. All right, let's get this started. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Annabelle Pacheco, and I am a real estate broker. I've been in business for about 24 years. And really the purpose of this weekly call is it's a goal for me to share with each one of you in details, the steps that I took to purchase my first multifamily deal. I'm not selling anything, not offering anything. I'm not a financial advisor in any way. I am just sharing my story with everyone in hope that we can use this platform to just share information with each other and learn from each other. A little bit information on who I am. I started my career in the mortgage industry in the mid 90s, and I have been involved in real estate heavily in purchasing property. I rehabbed, we flipped, I managed, and pretty much just that's what I've been doing for the last 20 some years. And in 2001, I deviated a bit. I went into the restaurant industry, built 150 capacity restaurant from ground up, had a just full staffed with managers, chefs, servers, and did that for about 8 years, and just realized that was way too hard. And my passion was definitely not restaurant and dealing with just that whole lifestyle was not for me. And so just went back to my what I really knew and what I'm passionate about. And so really for the last 10, 11 years, I have focused 100% has been in representing clients in residential and commercial real estate. So really exciting for me throughout all these years that I had been, just helping others buy, sell homes, and also being in the flip, right, and market. I was finally able to, I was in a position where I had worked really hard. Can someone please mute their, someone, and we can hear the, okay, perfect. So anyway, I purchased my first multifamily deal, 34 doors in Texas in 2015. And really at that time, I'd worked really, really hard, just preparing myself with just the knowledge, learning and studying the market, and just really being ready to pull the trigger to buy 34 units. I had never owned, that amount. It was always just 1, 2, 3 at this, at a time, and we would fix and flip and sell, and it just, I guess just doing that, when you do a lot of that, you really do become kind of accustomed to that level of I don't know, it's like, I guess, overall stress, because you're dealing with finding the property, with rehabbing the property, and then you have to sell the property, right? And then it's a lot. And so I think it just it gave me enough background and knowledge for me to go out and just kind of venture out to buy multifamily. Now, I was really looking for a way to create cash flow and generational wealth. That was my thing. I was thinking to myself, how can I make our money work for us, right? Without me being the one to just produce that. And so here are the reasons why I decided that, multifamily was the way that I wanted to go. And number one, it was cash flow. I was looking for a property that was going to give me, enough cash flow. Maybe it's not paying all my bills, but it's definitely taking care of me. And just in a nutshell, cash flow is rental income minus all of your expenses. Then number two, I thought, what an incredible opportunity to actually have the tenants pay down your loan. And this truly happens with multifamily because it's all factored in. Every month that you are, every month you're paying down that debt, and you're still making cash flow, which is, it's awesome, right? Number three, I was looking for appreciation. And I have to tell you guys that when I purchased this property, I'm from California, and I purchased a property out of state in Texas. California's market is very strong. Appreciation is just very strong. Like, we know that with time, just property in California always appreciates. Texas back, 6, 7 years ago, it was definitely appreciating, but not at the speed that it was here in California. And so when we decided to purchase out there, we thought, okay, it's going to appreciate over the long run. But the initial reason for our purchase was really for like the immediate cash flow. And when I say immediate cash flow is, when we closed escrow, we were already collecting. There were still rent. People were paying rents. It just wasn't enough for what we wanted. And so we had to come in at that time and rehab and do whatever it was that we needed to do, which I'll share on the next page, to increase the rents and increase the value of the property. So, and really the fourth reason for us to purchase was the tax benefits. And these are two, there's other, but these are two important tax benefits for us. One was depreciation, and really it allows you to expense a portion of the physical structure each year. And then two, it was the 1031 exchange. It allows you to defer the capital gain taxes And there's no limit to doing this. And I'll be very honest with you guys, in 2015, when we purchased this property, we had the opportunity to purchase another one. I want to say like maybe year one or maybe year two of us owning this property. I think it was about 70 doors for such a steal, but we weren't, we just weren't ready to pull the trigger. I mean, now hindsight, right? We kind of kick ourselves in the butt for not having made an effort to try to get those properties, because right now we would have quadrupled the value of those properties as well. So I want to share with you guys, give you guys a little example of my situation. And what happened to us is we were really out looking for value add opportunity. And I know a lot of people are, and I think value add properties, they're out there. It's definitely harder there. I think 6 years have made a huge difference in our market. And when we bought, it was still really, really good for us. And there was just a lot of room for us to create that value add.
Oh, I saw this yesterday.
So we purchased it for $850,000. And the seller, we gave the seller $350 down payment, and the seller carried a note for us. And then pretty much this allowed us to remodel, update the units, and increase the rents so that we could be ready by year two to refinance and pretty much pay back the seller what we owed him and just establish a traditional bank loan. And year two, our property pretty much doubled and was appraised at 1.6 million. And we were able to refinance. We got a loan at $1 million, got our initial investment, plus, whatever money we had spent in fixing up the property. And today we're at zero invested in that property. We've actually cashed out our money, and it's valued at $2.7 million. So this property has quadrupled in value for us in the last 6 years. We've done very well. We went in, we fixed, and really the goal now is to try to sell this and maybe double up on the doors, the units. And so today I have a special guest, and he is actually our listing agent. His name is Jonathan Ochstein?
Yep, Ochstein. Yep.
Ochstein, perfect. Jonathan Ochstein's with Marcus and Millichap, and I invited him here today because I think it's important for all of you guys to see what it's like, or at least to hear it from a professional, right? Who's out there on a daily basis. He's involved in 75 doors and less. I want to say, right, 75 doors and less. That's his focus. And you know what? And I want him to share with you guys what's going on in the market. And I think he might even have our property as a sample of what's selling, right? Mm-hmm. Perfect. So welcome, Jonathan, to our weekly call here.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. So just a little bit of a background on myself. I grew up in Dallas, born and raised. Actually went as far northeast as I could for college and went to Syracuse University up in upstate New York. I had a major in sport management, but a minor in real estate. But pretty much grew up around real estate my entire life, and graduated in May of 2020 and joined Marcus and Millichap right away. So I've been here for over a year, and I myself have closed over 6 properties in just the short amount of time that I've been here. But like I said, I've been involved in real estate basically throughout my upbringing, and happy to be here. I can go into what I have for on the market right now, which includes Annabelle's property. It's a 34 unit property in Grand Prairie. So it's a beautiful submarket of DFW. It's a mid-city, and Grand Prairie is definitely a growing area. There's a lot of new construction that's happening over there. A lot of upscale restaurants, upscale apartment complexes, and then in the general area where Annabelle's property is situated is a really, it's a growing area as well. It's a reviving area. So that property, like Annabelle mentioned, is listed for about 2.7, 2.8 million. And that's what we have it on the market. I'm not sure, Annabelle, if you saw the recent email, but we are having a call for offers on September 20th. That, among other properties, I can just give you a list of what we have. And at Marcus Millichap, I specialize in 75 units and under. So we have a team of about 18 that includes 13 agents. So myself, along with another agent who's been here for about 5 or 6 years, his name's Joey Murray. We both specialize in 75 units and under only within DFW, Tarrant County, and Dallas County. And then the rest, we have a secondary and tertiary market as well. There's about 7 agents that specialize in West Texas, East Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana as well. So we cover any size unit in Texas and any size unit, in the surrounding states as well. And then we have the remaining of the team specializes in 76 units and over, specifically in DFW. So we cover it all. And within the 75 unit under space right now, we have a couple properties along with Grand Prairie Villas, which is Annabelle's property, Whisperwood, which is similar vintage, 1964, listed for about 2.7 million over in Garland. And we have a couple properties that I'm bringing out personally out in Irving, which will be 34 units, 1984 construction, whispering about mid 4 millions, as well as a 59 unit deal in Fort Worth for around mid 6 millions, which is 1965 vintage. So a lot of inventory coming out to the market right now in DFW. It's an extremely hot market. A lot of buyers from California, New York, some overseas as well coming into the market, and a lot of owners that are looking to either retire and kind of take advantage of the market being as hot as it is and get into triple net where it's less maintenance for them, more cash flow or easier cash flow, I would say, in triple net where you don't have to maintain and maintenance the properties as much. But the way to get into these deals right now, like I said, it's a super competitive market, being that we have buyers from California coming, like I said, New York, and even overseas. But we can get a little more granular into how you get into the market. But I would say, besides for coming in at a top price, would be hard earnest money day one, and that we've seen become more and more popular over the years. And what that means is the minute that you execute a contract, the PSA, purchase sale agreement, or day one, I should say, you have non-refundable earnest money deposited into the property. So that would be if the buyer were to decide to back out of the property, then that money becomes non-refundable and automatically transfers to the seller. And that's just how we're seeing, competition increase in Dallas, and that's how we're awarding our buyers right now. So I'm not sure if any of you have any questions for me.
So can you elaborate a little bit more? I don't know. I mean, I guess a good question to ask those that are on this call, if, how many of you have purchased multifamily, 20, 30 doors plus. Anybody, you want to raise your hand if you have, and if you haven't, I think maybe Jonathan, you can explain if someone's maybe looking to purchase their first 20 or 30 doors, right? Mm-hmm. What's required, what's needed? Maybe walk us through that process. And I mean, just a simple, I don't, I know that it can get a bit overwhelming, but what are the top maybe, 5, 6 things that buyer needs to be prepared for purchasing 20, 30 doors?
Perfect. So like I said, I specialize in 75 units and under. So I've sold several deals that are within that, honestly, 8 to 30 unit range recently. And it's a similar story. And I work with a lot of first time buyers. So what I would suggest that you bring to the table before, or you bring to the table to any broker that, I personally would love to see is you've already started talking to a mortgage broker or your bank or someone with experience in buying more, or who either owns multiple assets or owns larger assets. So come with someone who has experience and can kind of walk you through the ropes. But mainly it's talking to your bank and talking to your lender to get you pre-approved to purchase the property, to make sure that you have sufficient funds in your bank account, in your name. They'll look at your assets and really qualify you to start buying multifamily. And it's a similar process if you're buying 20 doors or if you're buying 300 doors. If you're a first-time buyer, you'll need to get pre-qualified.
And so if you don't have the experience behind you, right, to support that, and you're saying bringing someone in, are you saying bringing someone in that's going to help them also qualify and actually be on the loan that has the experience?
Right. So if you don't own any multifamily and you have a relative or a friend that does, it will help tremendously, for you to secure financing and lending if you bring that relative or personal friend and put their name on the loan. And of course, they would have to be willing to help you out. But if it's a good property, then they should be more than happy to. And that will help secure the lending. And then from there, you'll get your experience. Lenders will see that, banks will see that, and it will just get easier and easier as we move on.
Okay. And if you don't have someone that has experience, but you actually have the money and you can actually put the down payment and maybe you have the assets, is there an exception that lenders do in a situation like that?
Yeah, of course. So they'll pre-qualify you. They'll walk you through the entire process and make sure that you are qualified. And then they'll either put together a statement, and show it to that broker, or they'll just, give you the green check and say, hey, okay. So we work with we have an in-house loan originator called MMCC, and we do a lot of work with Old Capital. Paul Peebles' cousin. Paul Peebles is the founder and CEO of it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Old Capital, but they're based throughout the country. They have a large headquarters here, and they do a lot of work with first-time buyers up to, owners that own over 10,000 units.
Wow. Can you repeat the name of those? Or maybe can you put that in the chat?
Yeah.
That'd be great. And I think that'd be great for everyone on this call. Anyone have any questions for Jonathan? Hold on, let's see. Let me see this chat. So Goodwin's asking, my example had seller finance. Are those not available at this time? What's your, share with us like what your feedback is on that.
So seller financing is available. Obviously, it's up to the seller. I've personally never worked on a deal that's had seller financing, especially now that debt is super cheap with bridge lending, agency lending, and bank lending. So I know it's less popular at this time, but during COVID, kind of at the heart of it, when agencies, bridge lenders, and banks weren't really sure what was going to happen in the near future, we saw a little bit more of seller financing. But now, just given the debt and interest rates being where they are, we're seeing it less and less.
So I guess it makes sense. When I bought 6 years ago, the market, you weren't in business 6 years ago?
I was not. I was in high school.
So, 6 years ago, I'm telling you guys, it wasn't as hot as the market is today. And I would think that there really is no reason, unless the seller is looking to, to maybe be a lender right? That he'd say, he'd think, well, okay, I'm going to sell my property, but I now have an opportunity to still make some money on my money. Well, you know what? Maybe it's an opportunity, right? But I think that we are going to see that less and less right now because interest rates are so low that, and even for multifamily, it's at a great price that it just doesn't make sense. Right?
Right. I agree.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? We've got a pro here on the call. Let's, ask him questions. Anyone looking to buy out in the Dallas area or interested in the Dallas market?
Well, really, we're seeing, I would say for looking at, if anyone's super familiar with the DFW market, which is Dallas Fort Worth, I mainly specialize in Tarrant County, but certain pockets of, if you were to be a first-time buyer and you don't have, an extreme amount of equity where you can go and buy in the hottest pockets of DFW, for example, Oaklawn, which is in Dallas, East Dallas, which is, still in the city of Dallas. Those pockets, those doors are trading around, 150 to 250 per door. And that's, the market is extremely hot right now, but those submarkets of Dallas are, tier one. So I would say, when you're first starting to get into the business of where you're looking to buy, the most important aspect of it right now is know where to buy, know how much equity you can bring to the table, really, for lack of a better term, what you can afford, and make sure that you're looking at the right submarkets of DFW, of Texas, of anywhere in the country before you just start, asking, or before you start making bids. Know where to look, I would say. And that comes with just talking to someone like me. It doesn't have to be Marcus Millichap, but if, I'm always available. But talk to any of the major brokers. Obviously, Marcus Millichap is nationwide, really worldwide now, but talk to a broker at CBRE, JLL, and Marcus Millichap, one of the bigger firms, to see what submarket fits your criteria and what submarket would fit, for you as well.
Oh, no, I agree. I think that's great. So like in my case, I guess we could use this. Let me let a couple people in here. In my case, and I'm being very transparent here and open with everyone, right? So I'm now selling my 34 doors and in hopes of doubling up, right? And finding something that makes financial sense. So where do you think that I'll be, or what am I going to have to purchase, right? With what am I going to be able to purchase with what I'm netting on this property, and kind of give me an idea of like just your experience and your numbers and where are we going to be at? Right.
So, I mean, I know you're comfortable with lending. Is that correct? Perfect. So we're seeing, I mean, and that's important to be. We've worked with a lot of clients that aren't very comfortable with leveraging up, and truthfully, it's hard. I mean, you're borrowing money such at a cheap rate. It's very important to start doing that. And, with the equity that you're pulling from Grand Prairie Villas, once the sale goes through, you'll be able to leverage up 75, 80% given a bridge loan or agency loan, depending on your game plan. And, we've already looked at 70 plus units, anywhere from 50 to 100 units within DFW. Specifically, we'll probably look for you for more Fort Worth, newer vintage versus what you own in Grand Prairie Villas, 80s to 90s vintage, and really try to work on scaling up to, really why people sell is they want to take advantage of the marketplace, pull out their equity, and if they're looking to 1031 like you are, they obviously want to cash flow more. So we'll look for properties, and if it's a 70 unit deal that's cash flowing more than a 90 unit deal, well, then that will be better suit for you. So it will, we'll get together on that, but I'll say it's going to come down to how much equity you're actually pulling out from Grand Prairie Villas or pulling out from any property, how much you're willing to bring to the table, and then what your leverage is going to be up to buy the next property to double up. But for sure, coming from 34 units at this price range, yeah, I don't see 50 to 100 units being a problem. It's just now finding the right property that fits your criteria.
So I'm going to ask this, and I'm sure, I know I'm the only one asking the questions here, but guys, this is open to everyone, and please feel free to ask any questions. So I'm going to ask you this, because I know I've been asked this, since the market is so high and, prices are just, in many cases are selling above list price and considerably above list price. Is it really a smart time for me to actually sell, right, the 1031 exchange into bigger property that I may end up having to pay more for it now? So I kind of want to hear your analogy, and what are your thoughts on something like that?
I would say it definitely is, for a few reasons.
Okay.
Your particular case, your Grand Prairie Villas is a 60s vintage. So I think it would be in your best interest to get into a newer vintage, whether that be 10 years newer or 20 to 40 years newer, whatever it is. And you want to scale up. So I would definitely say, you're doing the right things, and anyone that, and this is a question I get asked for all the clients on all the deals I've sold recently is, why would I want to buy in this market? But truthfully, with debt being as low as it is, and we don't, know what the future is going to hold, it's easy to borrow, and it's easy to get into a larger asset that's cash flowing just as much, well, not even just as much, even more. And that's what we really walk through our clients with is, you're pulling this, you're cash flowing this right now, even if you're paying a little bit extra due to the competition in the marketplace, you're at the end of the day, you're going to be cash flowing even more come year one, as long as you manage correctly, you keep it occupied. Really those two things, you keep it neat. And then at the end of the day, it's real estate in DFW. It's always going to appreciate. It's, like if you keep it full, keep it occupied, keep it well maintained, then it's going to continue to cash flow. And you've owned Grand Prairie Villas for coming up on 6 years.
Uh-huh.
So look, your cost basis in it at $850K, and what we're listing at it just, for a real-time example at 2.8. Even if you're paying a premium to get into a larger property now, if you're again a 3 to 5 year holder to 6 to 10 year holder, that property alone is just going to appreciate. Nevertheless, the cash flow that you made on it during that hold. So absolutely, I think it's a great time to take advantage of the marketplace. All the brokers here only see the market, going up from now in pricing, or else these prices wouldn't be able to be achieved. So that's where I stand on sellers right now.
Right. Well, no, I think you kind of reiterated what our thoughts. I know my husband and I talk about it, and this is a great time. And I think that we're in at least I feel like I'm in a position where, I could handle, we can double up, and I'd probably do better, right? Because 34, it's really not a lot to hire a full-time management person, right? To just kind of handle the property, because it's just, there's just not enough there. And so we have our own in-house manager who now is working for us kind of really part-time, and we have a maintenance guy there. But it would just be nice to be able to have someone full-time where we won't have to get any phone calls at all, right? And the management company would be in charge. And I think that if we do go to 80 or 100 doors, it's now okay to hire a full-time management, have someone that can just take care of it and run the place. And then all we just do is make sure that we follow up with them, right? And make sure that they're doing their job and they're doing their thing. So
right. And branching off of that, management has been such a critical component about multifamily that I've seen, more and more recently. We've seen properties that have just gone, for example, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Texas freeze that we had back in February. We had a week long, we called it snow. Of course you're familiar with Grand Prairie Village, but we had a week long, we call it snowvid.
Yeah.
here in Texas, and it really affected tons and tons of property owners. And I can give you a real life, sad example is we recently sold, it was Joey Murray. I believe it was a 30-unit deal in Garland that was closed on at the beginning of January of 2020. And 2021. So she had only owned it for about a year, and the snowstorm hit and all the pipes bursted. They didn't shut off the water, and the management team, who I don't think is, I have better recommendations than them, but the management company did not go out and take a look at the property to see if there was any damage. The tenants, most likely complained, but management never told anything to the owner. And now that property, every tenant had to be, given their
Security
deposit back and removed from the property. And now the property is completely gated up. And it's just a whole issue that this owner just bought the property. And because management did not do a good job of telling them, there's most likely going to be a lawsuit. But I would say management is absolutely crucial. And adding to that point, Jackie and Chino are great on site. I've had, nothing but great things to say about them. But once you scale up to that level, or if you're an out-of-state owner and you need, to hire a full-time third-party management company, it's very important you get the right group.
Right. And I want you guys to know that for me, my 34 doors, we didn't hire a management company. We formed our own little, management team, which was a manager on site and a handyman on site. That's all we needed. I didn't need, you don't really need any more than that. And our manager just made sure, she was our eyes there on the property, and she was in charge of renewing leases and making sure that everything's, okay with the property. And if there's a problem, she'd be the one to respond to it. And then she'd let us know, and she'd get an approval from us if any repairs were to be made. And it's just, they were two people that we trained to work for us. We pretty much gave them the guidelines of what we wanted and what we were looking for. And they have done a fantastic job up until now. And so I know, but again, we are very much involved. She's not a management company that I can just ignore and let them do their own thing, because it doesn't work that way. This is weekly phone calls. We are in my husband's the one that deals with that part, but just weekly calls. If there's problems or anything that needs to be addressed, we take care of things immediately. We don't we don't want our tenants to feel like we're not taking care of them. And that is one of the reasons why we have a zero vacancy there. We have a waiting list. They like how we take care of the property, and they know it's a safe place, and owners are there, they care, they're not just there to cash, to collect the rent and go. So my goal, obviously, if I'm gonna double up or go to 100 units, I at that point now would be interviewing a management company to manage it. And then just know that, I still have to follow up with them, right? Maybe it would be just different because they now have a much more they're responsible now for the actual managing of that property.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what they get,
That's what they get paid for.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So what does it normally cost management? Like if you're doing 80 to 100 doors, what's the cost on something like that on that?
It varies, but it could be a percentage of the overall income. Typically what we see is, either a flat fee or a 4%, on 80, anywhere from a 3 to 8% management fee, depending on management group, depending on size of the property. Vintage as well as a factor in it, if they're going to need more maintenance on the property or not. And then how many on-site leasing agents you want. or versus part-time, as well as on-site or part-time maintenance.
I like the new word vintage for my old property, right?
What was that?
I said I like the new word vintage
Oh, right.
for my old property. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a lot sexier. It sounds a lot nicer.
Right, I agree.
That's great. Anyone have any calls? I mean, any questions? Questions for me or Jonathan? Anything that I can help you guys with?
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and put my email in the group chat
Yeah.
for those that have questions after this. So feel free to shoot me an email with any questions, and just kindly remind me that you're on this Zoom call. That'd be great.
Anyone anyone on this call on the like looking to buy units right now? You can put it in the chat. Okay, Goodwin. Perfect.
Awesome. So going back to your point or your question, Annabelle, I'm a buyer in this market. I'm looking to acquire my first multifamily personally. Have a couple relatives with experience. Obviously, I have experience being in the industry now, but specifically in DFW, in Fort Worth, or Dallas, or any of the mid cities, Arlington, Grand Prairie. That's why I love the location of your property. You're 15 minutes away from in-town Arlington and 15 minutes away from in-town Dallas, and 30 minutes from Fort Worth. So it doesn't get much better than that being in the mid cities.
And I know I've talked on my call on a weekly basis, and I always say, location is key. Location is just key. And it's like that just for all real estate, right? Single family or multifamily, you really want to pick a good location. And that's what attracted me about this property was the location. It wasn't, it's just very central to everything. Right.
And it's historically strong tenant base in Grand Prairie as well. And that really helps as long as you have, quiet, hardworking tenants that, aren't going to go around and cause havoc all over the property. So, and that's where good tenants comes in play, and then even better management as well. So I know that Jackie, who lives at Grand Prairie Village, does a great job building rapport with all of the tenants there. So they have a good relationship, which is definitely a big factor.
Yeah, for sure. I have to say that she's done a really good job establishing good relationship with all the tenants, yet very, professional, respectful, and she's done, I'm very, very proud of her and happy that, we have had her be on our team, because it's made a huge difference for us. We're in California, and it's not, it's easy. You can get on a plane, 3.5 hours. We're in Dallas, but it's nice to know you've got someone there that you can call, and she's there, she's our eyes, and she can make things happen under our direction. And it's been life-saving. It's been great for us. And again, I didn't know her. I want you all to know, when I bought out there, I knew no one other than I had a mentor who was buying out there, and all I did was just follow in his footsteps and said, all right, I'm going to buy out in Dallas. And once you I know a lot of us have to wait to have everything in order or in line before we go out and buy it. It just, sometimes it doesn't happen that way. We were ready. We wanted to buy. We went out there. We really studied the market. We drove around. We talked to a lot of people, a lot of different agents. I didn't know really what to ask at that time. And it was just new to all of this, but so I was just learning. And when this property came up for us, when you're doing a lot of shopping or you're just studying the market, when a property pops up in an area that you're like, wow, that's pretty good area, let's go take a look at it. And I saw it, and it just made sense, right? We looked at it, and as I did we studied the numbers, and we looked at everything. It was really it was a no-brainer. it was meant to be. It was a great opportunity for us. And we knew that this was a little gold mine opportunity for us to go in there and fix and just start increasing those rents. And that's what we've done, and that's what we've created. And I really, I mean, I don't have anything else to share with you guys other than I think that if you guys are in the market and you guys want to do that, something like that, you know, hook up with the right people, connect with the right people, ask questions. People are always willing to share. People are always willing to give you information. Just ask. And if anyone's interested, you guys, I do this call every Wednesday at 2, and I'll have different guests come in and talk about just the whole multifamily world. You know, I think Jonathan was a great addition to our call today, just to kind of let us know, you know, what are properties going for out in the Dallas area. If anyone is interested, you guys can connect with him or connect with me, and I can put you guys in contact with him. And if anyone have any last minute questions, or Jonathan, anything else you'd like to add?
Just going to your point, I'll just touch on it quickly about, you know, when you first came to the Dallas market and Grand Prairie Villas was a no-brainer. Given what the market is, and I know we talked about it, there might be, you know, you might not find another no-brainer out there, but as long as there's value add, as long as you see rent growth potential in the property, and as long as you can underwrite, you know, a 3 to 5 year outlook on the property where you're making money, then that's the no-brainer. You know, the no-brainer is not, I'm working with, you know, clients that have been buying since the 80s that bought, you know, 300 unit deals for, you know, $30 to $40,000 a door. And now those same units are $150,000 a door. And when they go and when they want to expand and start buying more, and they're seeing, you know, $200 or $200,000 per door, and they're going, you know, I bought this in the 80s for $40,000 a door. But what they need to be looking at is, how can I go in there, do a value add to the units, increase my rent, increase my cash flow, cut my expenses, and then, you know, year 1, year 2, year 3, this property then becomes a no-brainer. So it might not be right off, you know, right off the bat, but real estate in DFW, like I've said, it's just a phenomenal market. Everyone's moving here. Highway expansion is phenomenal all over, you know, all over Texas. You know, you can get from point A to point B. You know, it might be a long drive, but it's easy, accessible, and it's just overall a great place to be.
Awesome. So someone asked a question. Elias says, how many units can he buy with 200,000 and what state? Thank you.
So if you were to look at leveraging up $200,000 and get a 75% loan, you know, I just sold a property that was 8 units, $726,000. So if you were to leverage up $200,000 to about 75%, that's around an $800,000 property. So it really depends on where the location is. There are pockets like that in Texas that you'd be able to acquire for that type of down payment. They might be a little bit older. They might be they'll definitely be from anywhere from 5 to 10 units, I would say. But it just comes down to finding that property. But they do exist. Just sold this 8 unit property in Arlington, great location, for less than $800,000. So Texas is a good market to see that in. I would say if you're local to California, you might be able to find something. I don't know those markets as well, but I've done it in Texas. So if you want to email me, I can shoot you over what I have once I come across it.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me see if there's any other questions on the chat. Yeah, Chartona, you'll get a replay of the full meeting today via email. All right. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much. I think you've definitely brought a lot of value to our call, and it's been great just kind of having this dialogue here with you. And I mean, I'm actually going through this right now and living it. And I think it's just a great opportunity to share with others that, you know, maybe are thinking about doing something and haven't, or who knows, maybe they've been through it already. But thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate you spending some time here with us and giving us this info. And everyone, thank you again for joining our call. It's every Wednesday at 2 p.m. I am here, and also Bill Gross. I know some of you are on Bill Gross's call as well, and I'll be on his call at the end of the month, and we'll have Jonathan there again as a guest speaker. So bring your questions. Anyone need anything, please feel free to email me. And I wish you guys a wonderful day. Take care. And again, thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
All
Let me
right.
know, email me if anyone has any questions.
Absolutely. We'll do that. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye, Jonathan. Thanks. Take care.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks.